Layers are one of the most important aspects of not only editing in Photoshop, but editing digitally. In traditional art, you're usually stuck with drawing or painting on a single canvas. In Photoshop, you have an unlimited amount of transparent canvases which can be added, removed, or arranged to get your desired result. And that's just the beginning. You can also apply filters and styles to each individual layer to help stylize your projects. Let's take a look at how layers are used. The Layers palette can be found at the right-hand side of your workspace. If you don't see it, head up to Window and then click on Layers. By default, you start with one layer, your background layer. This layer cannot be moved or deleted until it's made into a separate layer. Simply double-click and then press Enter. To create a new layer, simply click the New Layer icon at the bottom or use the Set shortcut key. It's usually set to Command or Control, Shift, and then N. Deleting a layer is just as simple. Select the layer you wish to delete, then press the trash can icon down at the bottom. There may be times when you find yourself with more layers than you can handle. If a bunch of layers belongs to a specific element of your project, you may consider sorting them in what's called groups. Click on the folder icon at the bottom to create a new group, then drag your layers on top of the folder to group them. Once grouped, you can collapse the group to neaten up your layers palette. When using the Move tool on a group, all layers within that group will move together. If you wish to move a layer individually, simply expand the group and select the layer by itself. At the top of the Layers palette, we can adjust the appearance of our layers. The first drop-down menu are the blending modes. Blending modes determine how your layers interact with the layers underneath. Some blend modes remove highlights, shadows, or a combination of both. Beside blending modes, we have our opacity and fill. The opacity slider determines how transparent or opaque the entire layer is. 100 will be completely visible, while 0 will be invisible. Fill, on the other hand, changes the opacity of only the original layer and leaves the layer styles intact. I'll show you an example of this in a minute. Speaking of layer styles, we're able to add effects to our layers by either double-clicking on the layer or heading to Layer, Layer Style, and then choosing your desired effect. We have effects such as drop shadows, inner and outer glows, bevel and emboss, overlays, and so on. Take a look through the different effects included in the Layer Styles dialog box and try them out on your projects. I mentioned a minute ago that the fill opacity only affects the original layer. This is what I meant. Let's say we add a stroke to our layer. If we decrease the opacity, the whole layer, including the stroke, becomes less visible. But if we decrease only the fill, the stroke is not affected. One very useful feature in Photoshop is layer masks. Layer masks allow us to show and hide aspects of our layer without permanently damaging the layer. Click on the Add a Mask button at the bottom. You'll notice a white box gets added to your layer. With this selected, anything that is painted black will be hidden, while anything that remains or gets painted white will be visible. Here's an example. Let's say you've cut out your model from the background and you want to define the hair a little bit. Instead of using the eraser, which will permanently remove what you erase, we're going to simply hide that area for the time being. Add your layer mask, then start painting black over the area you wish to hide. In the future, if you wish to show some of the area that was hidden, simply select the layer mask and paint white. Super simple and non-destructive. One other very useful feature in Photoshop are adjustment layers. Again, this helps us work completely non-destructively in Photoshop. Instead of adding a photo adjustment directly on top of your image, we can add an adjustment as a separate layer which can be removed or changed at any time in the future. Adjustment layers can be added by clicking the white and black icon at the bottom, then choosing the adjustment you wish to add. You'll notice that a new layer appears right above your selected layer. In addition, the Adjustments panel expands, allowing us to make our adjustments. Later on down the line, we can simply click on the adjustment to make changes or remove it completely, revealing our original layer.